What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another GTA Online video. My name is SaintsFan, and today we got a new event week, which means we got a new vehicle. And yet again, we have a buyer beware for this vehicle. Because there's actually a couple of things that you definitely need to know before you waste money on this vehicle. And yeah, I said waste money because that's what basically you're gonna be doing. Before we get into that, let's hop into the event week. So the event week this week, we got 2 times GTA money on races, but I think only like specific ones. It says the race series. So I don't know, man. Rockstar are being stingy with their 2 times money again. But I guess if you like racing, then you get 2 times money if you win. You get these 2 t-shirts simply by logging into the game. So if you like collecting shirts, those are kind of cool. This is what we're looking for here, an open bar. So you can actually get free drinks at the casino bar, the penthouse bar, and party area. I don't think this works in your nightclub. This might just be specific to the casino. But in addition to that, you get 30% off if you don't actually have the bar, it says, or 50% off if you are a member. That's probably not worth it, but if you like to customize, you know, everything, then you might as well grab it. The lucky vehicle, or the lucky wheel vehicle this week is the Benefactor Schlagen, which is a cool car, but it just sucks, you know, that we're not going to be getting any new cars on the wheel. Of course, there's some new casino store clothing and artwork. And then the discounts this week, what do we have? So we have 40% off, it looks like, the Devastate 8, which is a fantastic supercar. It's one of the best supercars in the game. So if you don't have that, I'd probably pick that one up. Customization at the penthouse, I guess, is kind of neat. And then you can see all the other vehicles. Actually, the Devastate 8 is only 30% off. But the Tempest is 40% off. That's a cool vehicle, a good supercar as well. But as far as the event week goes, not anything special this week. Here are the Twitch Prime discounts. Even these are kind of disappointing. You get 75% off the Neon and the Pegasi Reaper. The Reaper, if you were wondering, is probably not a good deal, even with that 75% off. The Pipster Neon is cool because it's an electric car. It's also a 4-door electric car. And it's got insane acceleration. It just has terrible top speed. It looks good though, so that might be a decent pickup. But yeah, the event week it's not anything good. The new car though, the Vulcar Nebula Turbo. This is an awesome looking car, but it's got some major downsides. Honestly, this is gonna be a car that you buy that literally sits in your garage. I don't see many people actually using this out in free roam. Obviously, look, everyone's tastes and vehicle preferences are subjective and, you know, each their own, but there are just some better options if you're looking to do what this car does, which I'll get into. Now, starting off with the price, the Vulcar Nebula Turbo is a whopping $800,000. And you're going to be pushing close, probably over $1 million when you upgrade it. So this car is not cheap. Now, speaking of upgrades, this is what this car has going for it. It's got some good upgrades. I'm not going to say great because there's some weird things, which we'll get into, but it's got some decent upgrades, right? It's got some really cool liveries. Actually, the liveries and the hood are probably the coolest parts about this car. The liveries you'll see here in a second. Some of them are your standard, you know, just lines and race liveries, but there's like 3 or so that you could tell they put a decent amount of time into. Also, the hood, you have a bunch of hood options, which is cool. And some of these are actually really unique. I don't believe we have many hood options like we do on this car on some other vehicles. So that's kind of unique. Obviously, you have your typical sort of spoiler options, bumper options. You can actually throw the sticker bomb customization on this car. I think it looks terrible, but if you want to do it, you can do it. One other super cool and unique feature, actually it's solely unique to this vehicle, is the fact that if you lower the suspension, the car doesn't really get lower. The rims, the wheels, they actually pop out, which I guess is called camber, or like cambering. I don't exactly know the proper terminology, but it's something that a lot of people who do sort of more street racing, like they understand that, they like that sort of style. And it's something completely unique. No other vehicle in the game has this. And people were speculating like, hey, maybe they're testing this for the next DLC which might be a tuner's DLC. And I don't know, that's a little too far perhaps, but it is cool that you can camber the rims or the wheels on this vehicle. So I guess overall for customization, it's like I said, just good. You can, I will say, have some unique options on this vehicle. So if you were bringing this to a car show, most of the time you're not going to have the same or a similar looking car to someone else's, but it is just kind of lacking in some other areas. Like for instance, number one, there's no interior paint option, which was kind of disappointing. There's no interior option at all, so like you can't change anything inside. Also, you have the sun strip, which you cannot remove. Now it looks cool, I guess, if you put a livery, but if you don't have a livery, it just looks kind of odd. You also have the mud flaps, which you cannot remove, and that's another weird thing. And then I guess asking for consistency is just too much because the fog lamp, the fog lights, they don't work. So you have the lights on the bottom, and then you have the lights like kind of on the grill, and none of them actually turn on. So it's weird in that aspect, and that's why as far as like customization and looks go, it's just got to come down a notch or two. Now getting into the performance, I think what everyone wants to know. This is where the buyer beware comes into play, man. This car is terrible as far as performance goes. I compared it against the Futo and the Chubarek, probably the two closest cars for what you're basically buying this car for. If you're buying the Nebula Turbo, you're probably buying it because you want a street, like an old school looking street car kind of that drifts. Well, the Futo and the Chubarek, they do that basically. And this Nebula Turbo just isn't even close. I mean, you can see the Futo actually finishes first by a good distance. Then the Chubarek finishes by a decent distance. And then coming in last, the Nebula Turbo finishes. And the crazy part about all these vehicles, the Futo is actually a sports car, so I guess that makes sense that it's faster. The Chubarek, I believe, is a sedan, so it's in a separate category. Also, it's got 4 doors, which is a benefit to the Chubarek. Whereas this new vehicle, the Nebula Turbo, is actually a sports classic vehicle. So all these vehicles, which are kind of the similar, they're all in different classes. But the Nebula Turbo is just not good in performance. And even driving it around free roam, you'll notice some things. You may see it in the gameplay, but the one biggest issue with this vehicle is the acceleration. And I guess the grip, it's got absolutely no grip, no traction when you initially start. It, I swear to God, takes like 30 seconds before you get moving. The car just constantly spins out of control when you're trying to go from zero. And that in free roam is just so annoying, because if you do end up, crashing or hitting something or just trying to change directions, you're gonna have to wait literally like 5-10 seconds before this car gets up to speed, which is not fun. Now I will say what is fun is the fact that this car can drift pretty easily because it's got zero grip basically. This car just like slings itself around corners, which is fun. However, because of the lack of speed, sometimes you don't really slide as far as you maybe want to. And that grip does also come into play. The lack of grip, I should say, comes into play when you're just driving, trying to actually get somewhere. You definitely lose control of this vehicle somewhat easily. But because of the fact that you're not going that fast, it is somewhat easier to control versus other vehicles. But the problem, the ultimate problem with this vehicle is going back to the price tag. $800,000 for this vehicle compared to the Futo and the Chubarek, which are way cheaper. The Futo is a whopping $9,000 if you want to buy it, but you can actually find it on the street and store it. The Chubarek is only like $145,000. And as you saw, both of those vehicles are better than it. Personally, I like the Chubarek's customization more. The Chubarek also has 4 doors, which is awesome, especially if you have more friends to drive around. Honestly, the only thing this new car has going for it is the fact that you can camber the wheels. So I would say that unless you really, really care for that feature, hold off on buying this car. And obviously, unless you have like billions of dollars. This car is just, it's going to be a car you buy, customize, make look cool, and then you stash it in your garage. And do you really want to spend $1 million on a car to do that with? I don't know. It's up to you, but personally, I kind of would not. I definitely wish this vehicle was, let's say, around like $400,000. Maybe. I mean, that's still more expensive than the other two that are better than it, but at least that's a little bit more reasonable. But naturally, $800,000 plus with all the customization, it's not a good buy. Maybe next week we'll get a car that's actually good. But until then, thank you all for watching. Please drop the video a like if you did enjoy. Subscribe for more GTA Online content. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next one.